So I'm here with FAB graduate and junior super stock rider Rossi BANHAM. Rossi, how are you enjoying being back at FAB?
It's great, I'm loving it. It's just enjoying it, really.
And how are you finding the bike? Obviously it's slightly different from what you're used to in British Superbikes, so how are you enjoying being back in the pit bike?
It's great because it's just a lot of fun and you just mess around.
And your British Superbike season, how you think that's going?
I think it's going great because I didn't have any testing on it, so I'm just taking it step by step. This year's like a learning year for me.
And what's the biggest difference you've noticed from moving from a 400 to a 600?
The power and the speed. That's about it.
And well, at FAB we've noticed that there's been quite a lot of close racing so far. How do you cope with that?
You just gotta think it's like a practice day, so you just gotta mess around, really. Gotta find your limit and then stick to it.
Yeah, and well, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
It is time for race one for the Extreme 200 class. The Extreme 200, it's a bit of a mix-up, really. You get lots of different bikes out there. You get some pit bike style machines, you get some Grand Prix style machines. But either way, it's very exciting racing. You've got some familiar names returning to the FAB paddock as well, right up the front of the grid. Filip SUROWIAK, Sullivan MOUNSEY, for example, both of these guys. FAB favourites, I think is the term I'd use. Of course, Filip was third in last season's Mini GP 70 championship. Starting on the front row. And, you know, you got some really big names on this grid. I mean, it's not the largest grid that we've got today, and it's not always the closest in the extremes. You know, you tend to kind of get almost splinter away groups of battles going on instead of one large battle like you sometimes get in the other categories. But it's it's very, very fast, very, very noisy, and very, very fun as well. And you get a lot of riders turning up for this category. It's kind of a I'd almost put it as a kind of a throw it all in together and see what works. It's kind of the pit bike extreme is one of the ways I've heard that it's described. Well, it's where the name Extreme 200 comes from, but it's like you get the pit bikes, you get a bit more out of them, and then you throw some Grand Prix bikes on top of the pile as well, and then you've got the Extreme 200 category, and it is just crazy, crazy racing. They're forming up on the dummy grid now. There you can see them, a few of the riders heading out onto the grid, and well, again, I'm sure this is going to be another very exciting race for the Extreme 200s.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, the top four riders actually have all at some point been in the British Talent Cup Championship, so it's just a proving ground, and it proves our point. These riders always come back to this championship usually, and they come back and teach them all and still run at the front. Obviously, on pole position for this race will be Sullivan MOUNSEY with a 48.5, and then Filip SUROWIAK second place, rounding off the front row of the grid. Both riders, of course, racing in the British Talent Cup. STUART-CAMPBELL, another British Talent Cup rider, in third, and Rossi BANHAM, ex-British Talent Cup rider, in fourth. Zac TOERIEN in fifth, and David FERNS making his return in sixth place. Of course, he missed last round at Clandau. Chris Wells in seventh place, and James DUTTON in eighth. Noah GILLERY, also Mini GP 70 rider, will be starting in 9th, with Mark Evans in 10th, Jack Andrews 11th, and Martin in 12th, and Lee Thomas in 13th, and Owen THOMAS in 14th. Sean Whittaker in 15th, Harrison MACKAY in 16th, Sam SMITHSON in 17th, Daniel Gilbert in 18th, Clayton EDMUNDS in 19th, and Benn RIDGWELL in 20th. And rounding off the grid will be Adam Redden.
Well, there we go, a very big grid here in the Extreme 200. It's a class where you get a lot of riders come and go. A lot of these riders are off doing BSB, for example, and off with their paddock. So it is one where it's not a very consistent grid. So you're going to have to take it on a race by race basis. I mean, perfect example last year, Casey O'Gorman showed up for 2 rounds and came second in the championship by 8 points. This is against people who had done the entire season. You get riders come and go, you get riders show up and dominate, you get, riders do the whole season and just in it for the consistency kind of factor. So it's kind of, you got to take this one on a race by race basis. Going off that front row, Filip SUROWIAK, I think, on the front row, has been visually just watching across the weekend, with my own eyes, he's been the rider that's been impressing me the most. First of all, because I can see the development that he's had from the British Talent Cup already. As a rider, I can already tell he's so much better than he was last year in the 70s, and he was already an exceptional rider at that stage. The way that he is getting into the corners, getting down on, getting off the bike as well, it is almost shocking how quickly that progress has come across, and I think he's a real force to be reckoned with. Of course, Sullivan MOUNSEY, though, on that GP style bike, he's going to be a tough nut to beat in this race. And of course, Bailey Stewart-Campbell and Rossi BANHAM as well behind in the second row. Those two, again, some formidable riders in this championship. So I think we're going to have to wait and see what's going to happen this one. It could be very, very close. And it is, Lewis, as I always say, it's one of those ones where anything can and anything does happen.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, they are perfect. It's the perfect conditions for racing, and this should be a great race. The lap time's been close all weekend between Sullivan MOUNSEY and Filip SUROWIAK, and yeah, I'm expecting a really, really close race, and it's a completely different style of machines on the front row actually. Sullivan MOUNSEY is on a Moto 4 type of bike, while Filip SUROWIAK is on a two-stroke Supermoto 85cc bike, so it's completely different. And obviously, as we mentioned, the top 4 riders have all came through the British Talent Cup programme, so it's just a testimony to how great the series is and how great FAB is for these riders to return.
Yeah, absolutely. Filip SUROWIAK in P2, currently leading the Extreme 200 Championships after sweeping the last round at Clandau. What can he do as the last of the riders pull up onto the grid? Here we go as we wait for those lights that we all know and love. It's lights on! Lights off, we're underway in the Extreme 200s. A great start further back, but leading into turn 1, it's going to be Filip SUROWIAK on the inside. No, Sullivan MOUNSEY sweeps around the outside and manages to maintain that lead. Bailey Stewart-Campbell holds on to P3 as well. Rossi BANHAM still in P4, but Filip SUROWIAK was a great start. Sullivan MOUNSEY, a very smart move to maintain the lead into turn 1, but getting all sorts of sideways on the brakes. Coming into the hairpin is Sullivan MOUNSEY, but still maintaining that lead. The Holmes hairpin could have been the end of his race if he'd have been pushing a little bit harder. Of course, these tyres very, very warm, very, very sticky out there, but these bikes do bite back. They're not easy machines to ride. Filip SUROWIAK, though, these front two starting to pull a little bit of a gap already. The two behind them also starting to pull a gap on the rest of the pack. Some moves being made into the last corner by a few riders, but it will be Sullivan MOUNSEY that leads the first lap of the first race of the Extreme 200s. Filip SUROWIAK, though, in a very close tow. And as we head onto the second lap, it's MOUNSEY from SUROWIAK, from Stewart-Campbell, from BANHAM, your top 4.
Yeah, it's a great start there from Sullivan MOUNSEY, and it was a great save as well. The bike was making all sorts and shapes, and there it is again. He likes the bike moving about. I mean, I seen a save earlier. I seen a picture from free practice, and I believe it was Dave Baldwin who took the photo, so I would recommend going out to see his save. The bike was up in the air. It was at its completely different angle from what it should be, and somehow he kept on it and then took pole position. He's a great rider, British Talent Cup rider, and another rider to actually mentions, James Dutton. He previously has raced in the Junior Super Sport Championship on a Honda actually, so he's definitely out for a good weekend. I don't believe he's been at FAB for a little while now, but it's Sullivan MOUNSEY who still leads the way from Filip SUROWIAK. Filip SUROWIAK on his screen right now. He's perfect riding style, putting his knees flat on the floor and just pushing as hard as he can. But it's Bailey Stewart-Campbell, and Filip SUROWIAK is down on the deck. He's threw away the race win. Filip SUROWIAK, he's no hurry to pick up that bike, but the Moto 4 bike is down on the deck. That puts Filip SUROWIAK in the lead by a mile right now. Sullivan MOUNSEY has threw it down the road from his own mistake. We've seen that start of race just how hard he was pushing, but it's finally bit back. The bike has said no, but now he's remounting on the bike, and there's your race leader now, Filip SUROWIAK, and Sullivan MOUNSEY. Yeah, he will not be happy about that, but right now it's just trying to pick up some points and trying to see where he will finish this race from.
That's after he set the fastest lap of the race as well, so a big shame there for Sullivan MOUNSEY. And again, as I was saying, that just shows how easy it is to lose these things. These bikes are very, very technical. They're very hard to ride. But Filip SUROWIAK, well, he's got 2 and a bit seconds back to Bailey Stewart-Campbell, who's putting up a stoic defence against Rossi BANHAM. But yeah, what a shame there for Sullivan MOUNSEY, but that's motorsport. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, sometimes mistakes happen, and accidents are inevitable no matter what. you're never going to go your entire career without an accident, as Lewis will happily tell you about 2 weeks ago. But as he comes around the final corner with 8 to go, it is Filip SUROWIAK leading the way, of course, third last season in the MetchKit Mini GP 70s class that we have here. Also racing in the British Talent Cup this season. He is a hotshot young talent who, as I said, is visually better. You can see how much he's improved since last year, and he's putting that on show now with a fantastic performance. Almost 3 seconds of the gap back to STUART-CAMPBELL, who's still putting up that defence to Rossi BANHAM in third. And then further back as well, James DUTTON in P4, Zac TOERIEN in P5 as well. They're still managing to hold on to each other. David FERNS in P6 and Jack Andrews, a formidable rider in this Extreme 200 class. He was champion last year. He's in P7, a little way back, so he's got a little bit of work to do. But it is still SUROWIAK leading the way. He hasn't got his bright blue hair anymore, but he's still got his bright blue bike, and it is streaking away at the front. Further back in the back, we've got some action coming into the final corner as well. Bit of defensive riding going on there as these two put each other under some big pressure, put each other under a big attack. And as they're coming round, Chris Wells and Mark Evans, I believe this is, that we're watching. And there is Jack Andrews as well. As you're seeing coming around now, Jack Andrews in P7, still defending from the riders behind. Here's Jack. Again, as I said, a old and familiar face here in the Fab paddock. He's done a lot in this Extreme 200 class, but not the best qualifying. You would have wanted a little bit better than that, but he's come forward in the race so far. So he's going well. Still got 7 laps as well to come forward. So it's not all doom and gloom. But of course, that is where the qualifying form that we use here in Fab, it really can hurt you. Even if you're really, really good at a track, as we're seeing Jack Andrews, he's doing a great job here at Ellough. If you qualify out of place, if you have a poor qualifying, it can really hurt you for all 3 races. And if you're fighting for a championship as well, it can mean drastic results.
Yeah, it certainly can. And Filip SUROWIAK has, he started in the front row of the grid, now he's leading, so he's done exactly what he wants to do. But just quick update, Sullivan MOUNSEY is up to 12th. Whenever he remounted on his motorcycle, he was down to 19th. So right now, he's doing a superb job at just trying to scrape some points and just trying to help his championship hopes. As of course, some riders disappear through some rounds. David FERNS is back this round. He got a podium at the first round at Lid, and he's up in 6th right now, so I would definitely not count him out. STUART-CAMPBELL, of course, first round this season, and in 2nd place, it got on the podium in your first round at Fab. So I don't think you can be too upset with that. STUART-CAMPBELL, of course, British Talent Cup rider, got a podium a couple of weeks ago in one of the best got 4th place in one of the best British Talent Cup races I've ever seen. But Sullivan MOUNSEY has just set the fastest lap of the race. He's pushed it as hard as he can with a 48.6. That's an incredible lap time no matter what.
And it's closing in on the lap record set by Casey O'Gorman here last year. Casey came in his first entry into FAB-Racing last season. He's one of 2 entries, and he swept the weekend with 3 wins. Oh, he's such a mercurial talent, isn't he? Well, again, I'd love to talk about that British Talent Cup race. Oh my goodness me. Bailey STUART-CAMPBELL again. Well, the obvious highlight was the tie for the win, which I don't think I've ever seen before or will ever see since. Bailey STUART-CAMPBELL coming on P4 was a great story. She put in a massive performance that weekend, and it was really great to see her enjoying such success and such good results. What is really almost the pinnacle of junior riding in Britain. That is where you really make your name. Of course, this is where you learn to ride the bike. This is where you kind of start out and you get used to the mini motors, you get used to the GP machinery, and then moving on to the British Talent Cup, that's where you're really sorting the wheat from the chaff. And of course, here at FAB-Racing, this is the place to be if you want to get into the British Talent Cup. Over 60% of the British Talent Cup field year on year comes from FAB-Racing. Again, a huge number this season are all FAB-Racing graduates, and that is great to see. These young talents still going through. There is Sullivan MOUNSEY in P11, another fastest lap for him of 48.4. He's getting a little bit closer to that lap record. I'm sure Casey O'Gorman watching along at the FAM-GP Championship, I'm sure he's getting a little bit nervous because his lap record at Ellough Park potentially under threat by a remounted Sullivan MOUNSEY. But Filip SUROWIAK still shooting away at the front with 3 laps to go. He's got 5 seconds back to Bailey Stewart-Campbell, who's pulled a bit of a gap on Rossi BANHAM. And it's all about now just make sure you stay on the bike, bringing the bike to the end of the race and keeping it in good condition. Even though Sullivan MOUNSEY's gone down, he can still sense that there is a result on the line. He's up to P10 and he's coming round. He's setting fastest lap after fastest lap as he comes through the tight and twisty final sector into the Wones hairpin, the final tight hairpin. And we've got Mini Rossi, essentially the last corner, followed by that big right sweeper known as last corner, genuinely. Comes to the line now. It's been 2 fastest laps before. Is the fastest lap this time? No, it's not. It's still a very, very good lap in the 48. Sullivan MOUNSEY with 2 to go is showing us what he could have done if he'd stayed on the bike.
Yeah, he certainly is. I mean, he's up into 8th place now, just got past Chris Wells, and just 2 laps to go. Will he get any further? Will he almost get a top 10? This is an incredible story that is developing right now. You can see another rider in front of him, and you can see blood. That is Jack Andrews just in front of him. He's going to push as hard as he can on this final lap of the race. He's set multiple fastest laps, although he may have crashed. It's not affected his confidence, and that is what makes his rider so great as he dives down the inside of Jack Andrews. Can Jack Andrews get the undercut? He's trying to, but then Sullivan MOUNSEY's up the inside once again and coming round to the final corner. And yeah, he got past Jack Andrews perfectly there, and he heads onto the last lap now and almost makes contact there with the bike.
Yeah, it was a lovely move there by Sullivan MOUNSEY, shutting the door on Jack Andrews as he, there we go, sets the fastest lap of the race. But it is the last lap, and rounding the final corners now is the man who was dominated following Mounsey's coming off the bike. It will be Filip SUROWIAK who wins here race 1 of the Extreme 200 in Ellough Park. You see a rider there conking out and pulling over to the side of the road. The number 61 bike of Harrison MACKAY. That's not how he would have wanted his race to end, but it is Filip SUROWIAK. Sublime performance as he comes home to take a dominant victory and extend his championship lead in the Extreme 200 class. Great stuff. Bailey Stewart-Campbell finishes a fantastic P2, but some 5 seconds back. Rossi BANHAM backed off in the end. I think he was on mission, bring the bike home. I know he's been struggling with his bikes this weekend, had a few mechanical issues all over the shop. So to see him bring it home in P3 is great to see, and great to see reliability not playing its part this time out, at least anyway. As that is the Extreme 200 race done, race 1 done, and it is Filip SUROWIAK taking another brilliant win and extending his Talent Cup lead. Talent Cup? Extreme 200 lead. There we go. The Talent Cup rider extends his Extreme 200 lead.
Yeah, it was a great race run, just dominant performance once again, but it really is going to leave us wondering for race 2 tomorrow what Sullivan MOUNSEY can do, because that was in some incredible lap times, and he finished in 7th place in the end, which is an incredible result considering he dropped down to 19th a quarter way into the race. So what can he do tomorrow? We're just going to have to wait and find out. But it's also a great result from Rossi BANHAM, who of course is actually on a pit bike 140, so he's using the same bike for 2 classes, which really makes his reliability issues and his carburetor issues slightly worse because it's got to last 6 races this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a rough occasion, shall we say, for Rossi BANHAM. But of course, you'll be seeing him back out in that pit bike a little bit later on for Pit Bike 140 race 1. Of course, you'll be seeing all of these riders tomorrow for our races 2 and 3, bringing you all of the action from Ellough Park. And of course, thank you for joining us here for round 3 of the FAB-Racing British Minibike Championship. And wherever you are around the world, it's a pleasure to have you along with us.
On the road to MotoGP, this is FAB-Racing.
And next up we have the Pit Bike 140s, which yesterday it was a great Extreme 200, which has Pit Bike 140s in it, so it can be quite a confusing class for everyone, for the commentators and for the people at home. It's a mixed class, it's quite an open class actually, as your Pit Bike 140s has some KTM 2 strokes it seems to be, but it was a great race yesterday. We have quite a few front runners in quite a lot of battles. Sullivan MOUNSEY was leading the way until he crashed, and I was speaking to him earlier, and he seems pretty confident today that he can take the race 1 and race 2.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, Sullivan MOUNSEY, you can see there in the centre of the screen alongside him, 3rd place in the Mini GP 70s Championship last year. Filip SUROWIAK, who's gone on to bigger and better things in the British Talent Cup. And I was talking about visually in race 1 how much he's improved. That you can see, just standing at the side of the track, how much better he is than at this point last year. I mean, of course, he's a fantastic rider last year, and to finish 3rd in a very, very tight 70s championship that went to a 3-way title showdown in the last round at Clandau. And he just standing at the side of the track, and already he's improved so much coming into this season. So it really is great to see, and he is currently having a great season in the Extreme 200s, leading the championship after sweeping the last time out at Lid. So we'll have to see what Sullivan MOUNSEY can do. Let's get going then with the grid. It is Sullivan MOUNSEY from the pole position. Filip SUROWIAK, championship leader, goes off alongside him. Bailey Stewart-Campbell starts in P3 with Rossi BANHAM in P4. Zac TOERIEN and David FERNS make the 3rd row of the grid, with Chris Wells and James Dutton 7th and 8th. Noah GUILLERY and Mark Evans round out the top 10, with Jack Andrews and Martin COCKAYNE in P12. P13 is Lee Thompson with Owen THOMAS at 14th. Sean Whittaker is 15th. Harrison MACKAY is 16th. Sam Smith in the 17th. Daniel Gilbert 18th. Clayton EDMUNDS 19th. Benn RIDGWELL 20th. And Adam Redding is in P21. We may have a few extra riders on the grid. I'm not quite sure if we can tell. I'm not quite sure if I can tell who was there. Simon and Charlie Huntingford, have just been told, making their way to the back of the grid. So nice to see them back. Haven't seen their names on. Clayton EDMUNDS in P19. That's a name I haven't seen in a while either. So great to see Clayton back here at FAB. He was challenging for the 50s title last year, he is 50s champion from last year, rather, should I say. So great to see him back here at FAB and giving it a good old go.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a great race. If it was like anything that we've seen yesterday, it should be all about Sullivan MOUNSEY and Filip SUROWIAK. But there is also Rossi BANHAM and many riders there that can just clean up the scraps if it's needed. And yeah, I think it should be a great race, and Filip SUROWIAK, as you mentioned, so confident on that motorcycle. You can just see the way he rides, and we just wait for the final checks to be done on the grid.
Absolutely. As we get ready to get going, the flag marshal holding. Can Sullivan MOUNSEY make it the win that he thought he deserved yesterday? Can Filip SUROWIAK make it 2 from 2? As we wait, the green flag goes up at the back of the grid, the red flag walks away at the front, and we wait for the lights, which come on now. It's a long wait, but it's lights out. We're underway. It's a great start from MOUNSEY. SUROWIAK to the inside, but MOUNSEY sweeps round. Bailey Stewart-Campbell sweeping up to P3 as well. Rossi BANHAM, not quite the start that he would have wanted. He maintains P4, but it is Sullivan MOUNSEY that leads the way, similarly to yesterday. SUROWIAK following, though, on that big bike style machine. And Sullivan MOUNSEY on that Grand Prix style machine. Look at how sideways Sullivan MOUNSEY is coming into the Helms hairpin there. My goodness me, that was brilliant. We've seen some great photos this week from the FAB photographer of Sullivan MOUNSEY getting all sorts of crossed up, but again there, brilliant stuff. He leads the way on that one.
Yeah, I mean, Filip SUROWIAK, he needs to stick with Sullivan MOUNSEY, but Sullivan MOUNSEY, his riding style is just crazy. He does absolutely everything right, but it's on the limit, which yesterday did bite him. But it's Bailey Stewart-Campbell still in third place, which could just be there and maybe mess up Filip SUROWIAK. As I mentioned that, Bailey Stewart-Campbell sits the fastest lap of the race so far. So yeah, she's on the pace straight away, but it's Sullivan MOUNSEY who's everyone's eyes are on, because he is leading the way, and he is leading the way by just half a second. So the race is not over yet. Filip SUROWIAK, though, is keeping them honest, to be fair. He's trying as hard as he can. It's 2 completely different type of motorcycles. I mean, Sullivan MOUNSEY is much more traditional type. It's a Moto 4 bike that he's on, while Filip SUROWIAK, I believe, is on a KTM 85cc 2-stroke. And there is a rider down that's Noah GUILLERY on the floor, also racing in the Mini GP 70s. So it's a big shame, and he really has less time actually to get that bike fixed, because he's racing in 2 classes. Yeah, hopefully not much damage there as Sullivan MOUNSEY comes round to round off the second lap. It's a 48.641. Very strong lap time there from Sullivan MOUNSEY. Is that a lap record? No, it's not. It's about 3/10 off the lap record, which is set by Casey O'Gorman last year. Of course, Casey O'Gorman, one of the riders who sometimes turns up. We saw him at Lid this year on his pit bike, but of course he's off doing bigger and more interesting things, shall we say. Not to say that, of course, the Extreme 200s isn't interesting. He's just progressing his career. Well, that's part of the fun of the Extreme 200, to be fair, is it's kind of you can kind of turn up and not turn up. It kind of whenever you suit you,
class. So, you do get a lot of riders like Keisha Gorman, for example, just showing off if they've got a free weekend to have a go. As again, Sullivan MOUNSEY, rear of that bike, all sorts of trouble. And almost loses the front as well on the exit of the Wones hairpin. He is riding on the absolute edge, isn't he? But as I was saying, for example, Keisha Gorman last year turned up for 2 rounds and came second in the championship. It's just, this kind of series. It's kind of you don't really know what's going to happen. You've got to take it race by race, weekend by weekend. And this weekend, it's Sullivan MOUNSEY who's had the pace, but it's Filip SUROWIAK currently on top with MOUNSEY's problems. And MOUNSEY, though, he's pushing so hard. And again, look at that. SUROWIAK gets through lap traffic very smoothly, but Sullivan MOUNSEY, he's basically drifting through the corners. I mean, I don't know how he's maintaining the lead if he's riding like that, because it must be costing him time, but somehow it's working, and it's putting on such a visual display as well.
Yeah, it just shows how much confidence Sullivan MOUNSEY has in that motorcycle, and the confidence in himself. I mean, I asked him, are you going to win this next race? And he just straight up said, yes I am. And he loves the rear brake. I mean, he's just stamping on it going into the corners. You can see the bike making all shapes and sorts. But once you do that a couple of times, you start to get used to it and comfortable with it, which has happened to him. And now he's leading by 8/10 of a second from this man here, Filip SUROWIAK, just 8/10 back, a 48.6 his fastest lap, which is just 1/10 off Sullivan MOUNSEY's fastest lap. So Sullivan MOUNSEY, it's not over yet. I mean, I don't think he's going to go away today. Sullivan MOUNSEY yesterday, he did escape from the pack until his crash. So I think Filip SUROWIAK today has learnt from his mistake and realised from lap 1 he needs to go straight away. And Bailey Stewart-Campbell, she's just sitting there watching and learning from Filip SUROWIAK, which, as you see, doing Doctor's Dangle going into the hairpin. She's learning quite a lot from him, which these riders can use in different series. I mean, both of them obviously being Talent Cup riders, all 3 of them being Talent Cup riders, the first 3. So it's a testimony to show that this class is full of talent, and they're all learning from each other. This race, what they're learning from each other here, they can use in different series, such as the Talent Cup, and it's just how great, it just shows how great Fab is, really.
It really does. This is a really impressive ride from Bailey Stewart-Campbell. She's putting in a much stronger performance than she did in race 1, and is actually looking to challenge ahead into turn 1, and he's really looking for the move to the inside. Maybe no, can't make the gap appear, so he's going to stick on the back of Filip SUROWIAK for the time being. But it's a really impressive performance from Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Yesterday maybe not quite going his way, but now this time staying on the back. SUROWIAK not the best exit out of the penultimate corner there. That's allowed MOUNSEY to fill a bit of a gap, who sets another fastest lap of 48.478. Not far off a Keisha Gorman's lap record now, but still not quite confident enough that we might be seeing it broken, but the conditions today are absolutely lovely. Yes, it is a little bit more windy than it was yesterday, but the track is warm, the sun is shining. It is a beautiful day here in Suffolk for round 3 of the FAB-Racing at Minibike Chris's Championship. And these Extreme 200s guys, they're putting on a show for us, and this battle for P2 potentially hotting up as well. SUROWIAK may be trying to shift his attention to the rear and to the fence instead of trying to stay with Sullivan MOUNSEY, because he's got a lot of pressure from Bailey Stewart-Campbell.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, Filip SUROWIAK, you may just be right there. He's just trying to defend a bit more, and that is opening up the gap for Sullivan MOUNSEY, which is going to help him a lot. He's going to be able to ride far more relaxed, knowing that Filip SUROWIAK is further back. We wait for the line. That's 1.3 seconds is the gap between first and second place. So yeah, the gap's slightly widened, and it's not over for second place. I mean, Bailey Stewart-Campbell, they're going to want to try and just stay on the back and just try to find any way past. It's something similar, and it's just see Sullivan MOUNSEY backing it in, but Bailey Stewart-Campbell, they're going to want to just try and find some way past. But there's still 5 laps to go. That's 5 laps to learn of where you can get past Filip SUROWIAK. So they may just be learning and just trying to understand Filip SUROWIAK and where Filip SUROWIAK is slightly weak and leaves the door open for a pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sullivan MOUNSEY, that's well, it's certainly a riding style, isn't it? I mean, some riders avoid the rear brake, as if their life depends on it. They just absolutely hate Sullivan MOUNSEY using that thing all the way until he lets go of the front brake. I mean, he is all sorts of sideways coming into the corners, but it is fast, and that is maybe a new lap record for Sullivan MOUNSEY. No, it is a quarter of a tenth of a second away from a lap record for Sullivan MOUNSEY, so he's getting closer, but he's also running into some lap traffic now with 4 laps to go, so the opportunity maybe going amiss. He gets through there pretty smoothly though, through the Holmes hairpin. Behind him though as well, if SUROWIAK and Stewart-Campbell can get through the traffic cleaner, they might be able to make up a little bit of time here, but that was very clean from Sullivan MOUNSEY to work his way through the lap traffic. The gap currently 1.7 seconds between himself and SUROWIAK. as he's having a go. Sullivan, Cerning coming through the penultimate section. Of course, Sullivan returning to the British Talent Cup at Donington earlier this year with a very successful ride, having been away from the bike for quite some time. He's a very talented rider, but sometimes life gets in the way. And came back at Donington in the British Talent Cup, which of course many a FAB rider go on to take part in. And it's really the place to springboard young riders' careers off into BSB and WSBK and MotoGP and so much more. And it's a very, very competitive grid, and he's after a long time not racing, as Stuart Campbell gets a good run out of the corner but is unable to make anything of it. Sullivan MOUNSEY returning and having a great run, and it's great to see him back here at FAB today as well.
Yeah, it certainly is, and just 3 laps to go, it looks like the race is in Sullivan's hand unless if he makes a massive mistake, which of course the race is not over yet until the checker flag is out, so you never know. But his riding style, as you mentioned, is just perfect. He's practically getting his elbow on the ground, which is so impressive. A lot of these bikes, actually, even the Moto Team bikes, running Moto3 slick tyres, so in these conditions where it's hotter, it lets the tyres almost melt onto the track and it sticks like glue, and it's perfect so then these riders can get these lap times which are so close to the lap records. The lap records, in the Extreme 200 before the race we thought, oh well, it may not happen, but we're not far off now. We're 23 thousandths of a second off the lap record, which is absolutely nothing, but it's absolutely nothing between second and third place between Filip SUROWIAK and Billy Stewart-Campbell. But the top 3 riders actually were featured in the best Talent Cup race that we've probably ever seen. I mean, there was nothing separating them, and when I say nothing, I mean 0.000. There was nothing. It was a photo finish, and it was a tied winner between Johnny Garnes and Carter Brown, and both in the Vision Track team. So it was probably one of the happiest days for the Vision Track team, which of course have the academy here at FAB and are doing an amazing job as we head on to the last lap. Sullivan MOUNSEY leading the way by 2.1 seconds. It looks like the race is all in his hand, but Filip SUROWIAK is setting his fastest lap of his race of 48.5. So he's left some in the bag, and it looks like Billy Stewart-Campbell's dropped back slightly, but it's all eyes are on Sullivan MOUNSEY in this last half of the lap of the race. You just seen him backing it in. He always backs it in. He loves.
That's GUILLERY.
That's GUILLERY. Second crash for him, not what he'd be wanting. But Sullivan MOUNSEY coming around the final few corners. There he is. Going one more corner less. The final corner comes round it. Perfect race once again. Sullivan MOUNSEY wins the race. Race 2. Second race. First race win of the weekend. Should have been 2. Made a mistake in race 1, but he's not made any mistakes this time out, and it was an absolute perfect ride. And Filip SUROWIAK coming home in second, with Billy Stewart-Campbell coming home in third after that fierce scrap for second place.
Yeah, a wonderful, wonderful ride there from Sullivan MOUNSEY. I think he actually backed up a little bit at the end to save the tyres. Of course, it's so hot, yes, it's so grippy for the runners out of it, but it also makes the tyres fall off quicker, and that actually could be something to watch out for in race 3s. If people are on old tyres, it could be starting to affect them come the end, along with the fatigue and the genuine, it's race 3, the weekend's wrapping up, let's get it over and done with. But a wonderful, wonderful ride there by Sullivan MOUNSEY, bringing it home, brings it into the dummy grid. That was absolutely brilliant. Taking the win. SUROWIAK managed to hold on for P2 from Stuart Campbell in P3 there. So a great ride from all of those podium finishes. There you can see Sullivan MOUNSEY winning by 2.2 seconds, with SUROWIAK in second and Stuart Campbell in third. Rossi BANHAM managed to bring it home in P4 with James Dutton in P5. David FERNS was P6 and Zac TOERIEN in P7. Jack Andrews, reigning champion, managed to bring it home in P8 with Mark Evans and Chris Wells rounding out your top 10 for the Extreme 200s race 2. Of course, don't worry if you're an Extreme 200s fan, because they're not going anywhere. They'll be back for their race 3s later on as well.
Yeah, they will, and I think it's been more of the same once again. And really, Rossi BANHAM and James Dutton, the real question is, can they get back into the mix? Can they fight for the podium? They may be slightly underpowered on the Pit Bike 140 motorcycles, but anything can happen. This is motorcycle racing. This is why we love the sport. Anything can happen. It happened yesterday in race 1, which we're expecting to see a similar result in race 2, but that did not happen.
Let's go! The official BSB partner series. This is FAB-Racing.
Now it is time then for race 3 for the Extreme 200s, and we've had 2 very exciting races already with some strong battles on our hands. Sullivan MOUNSEY versus Filip SUROWIAK, of course the story of the weekend so far. Kennett swap places against Sullivan MOUNSEY on board that Moto 4. He's been sideways, to put it mildly, but he's been fast as well. Filip SUROWIAK, though, on that pick bike style machine, he's been so quick and is, visually improved since he was last at FAB last season, of course, finishing P3 in the Mini GP 70s Championship in 2021. However, it's safe to say that it's, going to be another exciting race.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it's been great racing all weekend. Something different in each race. First race of the weekend, we had Sullivan MOUNSEY crashing out of the lead. He was just pushing a bit too hard. His crazy ridings down. Using the back brake a lot. Eventually bit him. But then race 2, it was exactly what we were expecting. Sullivan MOUNSEY got away and he just went for it. I mean, it was a great ride from him. He didn't make any mistakes. The bike was still all over the shop, but that's just the way he rides it with his Moto 4 bike. And it's two completely different riders on two completely different bikes with two completely different style of engines inside of it. It's exactly what we want to see him racing. It's just perfect. Everything's different, but it still produces great racing, which is what we love to see.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of everything and anything but class here at FAB-Racing. You get such a mix of different bikes, and it's also kind of a round by round basis. As I said, you get riders coming and going across the season, just coming and showing up and giving it a go when they've got a free weekend. And, Filip SUROWIAK, of course, no British Talent Cup this weekend, so he's here, of course, on the FAB-Racing bike in the British Talent Cup. And this is basically a Talent Cup race because a lot of the top riders have been there in the British Talent Cup and have been on and have gone on to other things as well. It is Sullivan MOUNSEY on that Moto 4 who you'll be seeing drifting every corner later, I'm sure, who goes from pole position. Filip SUROWIAK, race 1 winner, he goes from P2. Benny Stuart-Campbell is in P3 with Rossi BANHAM in P4. Zac TOERIEN and David FERNS on the third row of the grid. Chris Wells starts alongside Jamie DUTTON for 7th and 8th, with Noah GILLERY and Mark Evans rounding up the top 10. Reigning champion Jack Andrews, he's in P11 with Martin COCKAYNE in P12. And Lee Thompson is 13th with Owen THOMAS in 14th. Sean Whittaker in 15th with Harrison McKay is in 16th. Sam Smithson is in 17th and Danny Gilbert is 18th. Clayton EDMUNDS is in P19. He was your 50s champion last year with Benn RIDGWELL in P20. Adam Redding is in P21. And apparently we've got an extra rider joining in as well. But apparently that might be one of the Huntingfords who's maybe joined in, either at Charlie or Simon, father-son. We're not sure which one it is, but they'll be starting from the back in P22, just having a bit of a go, having a bit of a laugh. And it's time for some Extreme 200 racing, Lewis.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the final bikes. It's quite a big bike. It's quite a big bike grid. I mean, there's David FERNS just getting into his grid position, and then we should be ready to go. It's quite a lot of bikes in this grid. It's quite a lot of different styles of bikes in this grid. But all riders now will be fully focused on the lights as we wait for the lights to come on. All the revs are rising, and the lights are on, and the lights are off, and we go racing the Extreme 200. Sullivan MOUNSEY makes a great start. It's Filip SUROWIAK who's second place into the first corner. Rossi BANHAM getting slightly sat up there from David FERNS, but Sullivan MOUNSEY leads the way in what can only be described as a dream weekend from him. Apart from that crash in race 1, he still had the pace. He still has the pace to show that he can win this race. And there's Noah GILLERY actually just following Rossi BANHAM, who of course Noah GILLERY last race in race 2, it was not what he wanted. He had 2 crashes, but this is race 3. This is the last race of the weekend, the one that everyone wants to win, and it's certainly the one that Sullivan MOUNSEY wants to win. And Filip SUROWIAK, you can just see from his riding style, and Sullivan MOUNSEY runs away. Filip SUROWIAK tries to get past, but there's no way past. I mean, Sullivan MOUNSEY just cuts off the door there. He was down the inside there, and Sullivan MOUNSEY leads the way with just 10 laps to go.
Lucky there for Sullivan MOUNSEY. That could have been curtains to his race day for the time being. Rossi BANHAM dropping down to 5th. He was down to 7th at one point, I counted on lap 1, so really not doing too well there for Rossi BANHAM. He'll be looking to move forward as Sullivan MOUNSEY again getting sideways. Filip SUROWIAK poking a front wheel. Benny Stuart-Campbell trying to get involved as well. They were absolutely brilliant in race 2, and now trying to move further forward in race 3 as well. But while SUROWIAK and Stuart-Campbell are fighting, that allows MOUNSEY to pull away on that Moto 4 bike at the front. Of course, Extreme 200 is kind of an anything and everything category. You basically enter whatever you want. The way you go, we get some people entering GP70s into this class. You can just do it for track time. And Sullivan MOUNSEY has gone from, in the space of 1 lap, nearly losing the lead after a mistake, to now having a pretty healthy lead, half a second lead to Surowiak, is Bailey Stewart-Campbell now picking to get involved in the fight for P2. These front three, once again, as we saw in the race previous, inseparable up the top.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're the only people in the 49 seconds, and Sullivan MOUNSEY is a 49 flat. That is an incredible lap to win any motorcycle. Is going as fast as he can. He's using the back brake. He's back in the end almost every single corner. He did it slightly there. He's using the back brake everywhere. It puts some of the pressure off the front wheel, and you're less likely to crash, well, have the front end crash, but you just need to be able to control that, and that's what Sullivan MOUNSEY's learned, especially this weekend. He did crash in race 1 from it, but Filip SUROWIAK can smell blood right now. Filip SUROWIAK still there in biting distance, just 3/10. He set the fastest lap of the race with a 48.5, 3/10 faster than Sullivan MOUNSEY that time round. That was an incredible lap from Filip SUROWIAK, and Bailey Stewart-Campbell also in the 48, so the top three on the 48 lap times and pushing each other on, which is what we love to see.
Further back, Rossi BANHAM, he's dropped down to P6 in the fight right now with David FERNS, as you can see on your screen just in front of him. FERNS trying to put the pressure on James DUTTON. But these three, again, you've got kind of the top three pulling away, and then you've got these three as well in the fight for P4, 5 and 6. And that there is James DUTTON in P44, or on bike 44 in P4 rather, being followed very closely by David FERNS, the 141, with Rossi BANHAM, the junior super stock rider over at BSB, graduating from FAB, but still back here, still giving it a go on the pit bikes and the extremes. Of course, we know he's been struggling with some mechanical issues this weekend. He had some carburetor problems yesterday in the pit bike races. Seems to be all sorted. Of course, you remember in pit bike race 1, smoke billowing out the back of that as Bailey Stewart-Campbell now fastest lap of the race, 48.548 in P3. So Surowiak pressures on now with those front three still very close together. These three, as you can see them now, I mean, look how close they are. It's like they're just going in tandem almost. I mean, you can barely fit anything between them. You've got, it's 4/10 at the line last time to Surowiak from him to Soundsy. It was another 3/10 back to Stewart-Campbell, and Surowiak actually got held up on the exit of the corner. I think what we've just seen is a bit of mind games by Sullivan MOUNSEY. I think he delayed getting on the throttle, because I saw Surowiak twist the throttle, got going, and then he definitely lifted. He definitely, the front of the bike dipped back down because Sullivan MOUNSEY wasn't moving in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, Sullivan MOUNSEY is just maybe playing slight games. He maybe thinks he has the pace just to be able to win this race, but little does he know, Filip SUROWIAK and Bailey Stewart-Campbell, both of them have faster lap times than him. I mean, for Sullivan MOUNSEY, his best lap time is a 48.6, while both bikes behind them have been doing 48.5. So they're so fast, these guys. I mean, Sullivan MOUNSEY just using the back brake, just trying as hard as he can to keep these two supermoto style motorcycles behind them. All three of these riders ride in the British Talent Cup, so they trust each other. They race with each other practically every other weekend, if not every weekend. They're at Knockhill next week. All of them, all British Talent Cup riders, including these three, will be on show around the famous Scottish racetrack, which myself will be watching them live, and it'll be great to see. But right now, just 5 laps, so he's back in the M once again. Filip SUROWIAK gets a front seat view. He also gets a front seat view of his back tyre, which is still there. It's just 3/10 separating first and second place, and Bailey Stewart-Campbell is going nowhere. Keep in mind, he has the fastest lap of this race, so he clearly has the pace. Maybe he's just waiting and biding his time and just trying for Filip SUROWIAK to maybe make a slight lunge to Sullivan MOUNSEY and start to trip each other up. But it looks like Sullivan MOUNSEY taking a slightly wider line there, but that might affect his drive in the first corner. And well, yes, it will, but Sullivan MOUNSEY still manages to keep the lead of the race. His bikes are doing all shapes and sorts, but now back markers are starting to get into play. I believe that's Benn RIDGWELL on your screen right there. They're coming towards. What will Sullivan MOUNSEY be able to do? And there's Filip SUROWIAK looking down the inside, but cannot make it work. Can they get past the back markers without getting held up? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Filip SUROWIAK and Sullivan MOUNSEY get past no issue, but it does look like Filip SUROWIAK may have just got caught just slightly, but nothing too major.
Bailey Stewart-Campbell's been caught up big time there. You can see the gap increase we've seen time and time again, Lewis. Back markers getting involved this weekend, just causing havoc for the race leaders. Sullivan MOUNSEY's got 3 laps to go. Can he hold on to Filip SUROWIAK, who's looking very, very menacing. I think Bailey Stewart-Campbell's dropped out of contention unless these two continue to fight. But Surowiak again, I mean, look how close he is to the back of Sullivan MOUNSEY. He is all over the back of that Moto4 machine, looking for a way through. And that traffic actually has massively benefited him. If they come up on it, they are going to come up on it a bit more. He pokes the wheels at the inside. That's going to compromise his exit, and now Sullivan MOUNSEY can breathe because he's shut the door. And now Surowiak has lost all momentum. Sullivan MOUNSEY, if he can get through this traffic, that might be the crucial deciding move of the race.
Yeah, it certainly might. And they're just trying to get past even more back markers. Now he's back to the hairpin. Filip SUROWIAK, we've seen it time and time again. He was so confident on that bike this year. But one thing actually, although Sullivan MOUNSEY had that crash at race 1, it's so great to see that although he's had that crash, he's not changed his riding style, but it looks like Filip SUROWIAK has got held away back markers. That put Bailey Stewart-Campbell into second place. This is what we mean, back markers can affect the race so much, and it's let Sullivan MOUNSEY loose. Sullivan MOUNSEY is gone. Now it's all about the battle for second place between Filip SUROWIAK and Bailey Stewart-Campbell. Bailey Stewart-Campbell can see that this is their chance just to go, but Filip SUROWIAK will feel hard done by, and now he's going to be wanting to try and dive up the inside. Sullivan MOUNSEY getting held away, back markers as well. They're everywhere, but this is the thing. It's a part of racing. You just have to learn to deal with it.
Coming on to the final lap, and Sullivan MOUNSEY, and he's getting held up again and almost getting turned into by one of the back markers there. Oh my goodness me. As he starts the last lap of the race, luckily Surowiak and Stewart-Campbell also getting held up, so it's not going to cost him any time. As Surowiak, it's going to cost him time though, because the guys battling for second have come across a battle themselves. Sullivan MOUNSEY streaking away in the lead. I think that Surowiak might have maybe made the move, no, but he's still there and he's still looking. They've got one more lap to go, coming round into the final sector very shortly. Sullivan MOUNSEY, he is gone, but the battle for second carries on. Sullivan MOUNSEY's not got far to go now to make it a pretty good weekend, if you ask him. I'm sure he'd say obviously the crash in race 1 wasn't how we wanted it to end, but it's been a race 2 and a race 3 to remember for Sullivan MOUNSEY as he comes through the last three corners. Filip SUROWIAK's managed to get back onto P2, but it doesn't matter because it's going to be Sullivan MOUNSEY who wins a brilliant race 3. Back markers came to his aid and he withstands the pressure. Filip SUROWIAK just about manages to squeeze into P2 at the death. A wheelie from Sullivan MOUNSEY. He's delighted. Bailey Stewart-Campbell unfortunately has to settle for P3, but what a performance there by Sullivan MOUNSEY, absorbing all of that pressure perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly. I mean, all top 3 guys, all in the 48 seconds, and there's nothing separating them. I mean, their best laps are probably about a 10th separated in the difference between their best lap times. So it's great to see racing so close. And James Dutton coming home in 4th place. James Dutton used to race in the British Junior Supersport on a Honda, actually, on the Honda CB500 Double R, which was quite an unusual bike choice and not one that turned out to be too popular. But he comes home in 4th from Rossi BANHAM, comes home in 5th. David FERNS, who we did miss last round, is in 6th place. Zac TOERIEN in 7th. Mark Evans in 8th. Jack Andrews, who crashed yesterday in the Moto Team race, comes home in 9th place, and Charlie Huntingford comes home in 10th. It was a great race, and it was the last race of the weekend. You can just see with these race threes that we're seeing now, all the riders are putting absolutely everything out, and there's confirmation of that top 10. Sullivan MOUNSEY taking the race win by 1.5 seconds. It was a great race from him, and it's exactly what we're expecting, really. I mean, from race 2, it was exactly what we were expecting, but then Surowiak and Bailey Stewart-Campbell managed to find something else. I mean, it just proves how great these Talent Cup riders are and how great of a program it is at FAB that have been able to produce these riders, and the series is that good that they've managed to come back from the Talent Cup. Even though they're in the British Championship, they come back once and once again and are able to pass on their knowledge to the other riders.